The email hit like a sucker punch, $6,700 fine for unauthorized flags. Karen Mitchell, self-appointed queen of the Sunnyvale HOA, had finally lost her damn mind. In the quiet cul-de-sacs of Sunnyvale, a neighborhood of tidy lawns and identical mailboxes, the American flag was more than fabric, it was a symbol of sacrifice. Veterans like Tom Rivera, who'd lost a leg in Iraq, and Sarah Coleman, who carried shrapnel scars from Afghanistan, flew those flags on their porches with pride. They weren't just decorations, they were hard-earned. But Karen, with her clipboard and her power trip, saw them as a violation of her precious, community aesthetic. She'd been ruling the HOA like a dictator for years, slapping fines on anything that didn't fit her vision of suburban perfection, to bright Christmas lights, unapproved mailboxes, even a kid's lemonade stand. But this was war. It started small. Tom got the first notice in June, a typed letter demanding he remove his flag or pay $500. He laughed it off, thinking it was a mistake. Then Sarah got one. Then Mike, the Vietnam vet who barely spoke but always saluted his flag at dawn. By July, a dozen veterans in Sunnyvale had fines piling up, totaling $6,700 across the neighborhood. Karen's reasoning: the flags were non-compliant with HOA rules, too big, too faded, or, in one case, too patriotic. She claimed the fines would fund community beautification, but whispers spread that she'd been spotted shopping for a new Lexus. The veterans tried reasoning first. Tom, ever the diplomat, organized a meeting at the community center. 50 residents showed up, half of them veterans, the other half curious or pissed-off neighbors. Karen sat at the front, her peroxide blonde hair as stiff as her smile. "Rules are rules," she said, tapping her pen. "If we let one flag slide, soon it's banners, signs, chaos. You want this place looking like a flea market?" Tom stood, his prosthetic leg creaking, and said, "Karen, these flags aren't decor. They're for the people we lost." The room murmured agreement, but Karen just shrugged. "Pay the fines or lose the flags." That's when Sarah snapped. She'd spent 2 tours dodging IEDs, she wasn't about to bow to a suburban tyrant. At the next HOA meeting, she brought a megaphone and parked herself on Karen's manicured lawn. "This woman's fining us for honoring our country," she bellowed, waving her fine notice like a battle flag. Neighbors peeked out from curtains, some cheering, others shaking their heads. Karen stormed out, threatening to call the cops, but Sarah didn't budge. "Go ahead," she yelled. "Let's see who they side with, vets or you." The crowd grew, and by nightfall, a dozen flags were planted in Karen's yard, each with a veteran's name taped to the pole. The HOA doubled down. Karen hired a lawyer, some slick guy from downtown who sent cease and desist letters to every veteran. She posted signs around the neighborhood: "Support our rules, support our community." But the veterans weren't alone anymore. Non-veterans, fed up with years of Karen's nitpicking, $200 fines for untrimmed hedges, $300 for unapproved paint color, started joining the fight. Mike, the quiet Vietnam vet, turned out to be a retired lawyer himself. He dug into the HOA bylaws and found a loophole: the board could be challenged in a special election if 60% of residents petitioned. The campaign was relentless. Tom and Sarah knocked on every door, sharing stories of their service and Karen's greed. They made flyers with photos of their flags and the fines, captioned, "Is this what Sunnyvale stands for?" Neighbors who'd never spoken before bonded over shared outrage. A teenager set up a social media page, "Flags Over Fines," that went viral in the county. Even the local news caught wind, running a segment titled HOA vs. Heroes. Karen tried to spin it, claiming the veterans were disrupting community harmony, but her interviews only made her look worse, petty, cold, and obsessed with control. By August, the petition had 75% of the neighborhood's signatures. The special election was set for September 1st. Karen fought dirty, spreading rumors that the veterans wanted to turn Sunnyvale into a militia compound. She even tried bribing residents with promises of waived fines if they voted her way. But the veterans had momentum. They nominated Tom as their candidate for HOA president, with Sarah and Mike as board members. Their platform was simple: fairness, freedom, and no more flag fines. The night before the vote, they held a rally in the park, flags waving under string lights. 100 people showed up, grilling burgers and sharing stories. For the first time, Sunnyvale felt like a community, not a prison. Election day was chaos. Karen's allies monitored the ballot box, accusing voters of intimidation. Sarah caught one of them trying to stuff extra ballots and called them out in front of everyone. By 8 p.m., the results were in. Tom won with 82% of the vote. The veteran slate swept the board. Karen's reign was over. The crowd erupted, hugging and waving flags. Tom took the mic, his voice steady but thick with emotion. This isn't just about flags. It's about standing up for what's right. But victory came at a cost. Karen didn't go quietly. She sued the new board, claiming election fraud, dragging the neighborhood into months of legal battles. The veterans paid out of pocket for their defense, draining savings they couldn't spare. Worse, the fight fractured Sunnyvale. Some residents, loyal to Karen, shunned the veterans, calling them troublemakers. Kids who'd once played together stopped speaking. Tom's daughter got bullied at school, called a snitch for her dad's role. Sarah's PTSD flared up from the stress, and Mike retreated back into silence, his flag still up but his spirit dimmed. The lawsuit failed, but the damage was done. At the first meeting of the new board, Tom announced the flag fines were cancelled and the bylaws rewritten to protect personal expression. The room cheered, but it felt hollow. The neighborhood was free, but it wasn't whole. Karen moved away, her house sold to a young couple who flew a rainbow flag alongside the stars and stripes. Some saw it as progress, others whispered it was too much. In the end, the veterans won the battle but lost the peace. Sunnyvale's flag still flew, but the scars of the fight lingered in every cul-de-sac. The community was theirs again, yet it would never be the same. What do you think? Did the veterans do the right thing, or did they push too far? How would you balance personal freedom with community rules?